It's Tuesday. It's time to drink 2 beers and maybe have a little beer history lesson. Hello, my beer drinking friends, and welcome to another Two Brew Tuesday. I'm your host, Andy, and on today's episode, we've got 2 different Pilsners to try. Now, many of you may not know, Pilsner is a style that actually dates back to 1842 in the Czech town of Pilsen. Up until that time, most breweries were actually making ales or top fermented beers, but around the early 1800s, lager yeast started being used, and Germans particularly were actually storing these beers in caves where they could age at a cool temperature, and they were able to get a much clearer beer. Now in 1842, the town of Pilsen hired a new brewer who actually came up with a new technique for using a particularly light colored malt. Before then, brewers were primarily using malts that were kilned over a wood smoked fire, and that obviously darkened all the malt. But around that time, they ended up discovering coke, which is like a form of coal, and they were able to kiln these malts without actually using smoke. And so the resulting malts ended up being much lighter in color. And this new brewer that they hired in Pilsen ended up figuring out how to make that into a nice, clear beer. So this is a style that I'm excited that a lot of craft brewers are starting to embrace. It's a lighter style, it's got lower alcohol, and I really think it shows the talent of the brewer, because you can't just, dose this beer with a ton of dry hops to cover up any flaws you've got. So first up, we've got from Smartmouth Brewing Company, their Safety Dance Pilsner. These guys are located in Norfolk, Virginia. They've been brewing since 2012. The brewery was started by a former attorney who traded in his law ties for brewing. He was also a home brewer before he opened up the brewery. So let's take a look at this beer. So yeah, look at this thing. It is a brilliant, nice, light gold color. You can see right through this glass. It's got a decent sized foamy white head. It's lasting, lots of bubbles, lots of carbonation. So the nose, I'm getting a ton of that biscuity, mildly sweet Pilsner malt character. It's definitely the hallmark of the style. It's also got like a little bit of an herbal spiciness from sort of a German noble hop character. So yeah, this beer has a ton of malt flavor, and just a nice background of bitterness to counter any sweetness that's in there, and it finishes really clean. There's no fruity esters. This is a simple kind of a beer, but it's a hard beer to make because, like I said, there really is no room for error on this beer. Yeah, it's a super refreshing beer. This is the kind of thing I would call a lawnmower beer. After you've been working in the yard all day, it's a perfectly refreshing way to rehydrate just a little bit. So yeah, the Pilsner here from the Safety Dance from Smartmouth, I believe it checks in at 4.8%. So it's nice little session beer. You can enjoy a couple of these after you finish all your yard work. Next up, we have out of San Francisco, California, Epic Pilsner from Sufferfest. This brewery has started in late or mid 2016. They actually specialize in doing gluten-reduced beers. The founder of this company, she found out she was gluten intolerant, but she was a long-distance runner and trail runner, and she was always jealous of all her friends being able to drink a beer after they finished one of their hard training runs. So she ended up home brewing and then figuring out how to make a gluten-reduced beer. This is actually something that a lot of breweries are doing right now. They're using a enzyme called Clarex. Homebrewers have the same enzyme available to them. It's called Clarity Firm. And by using this enzyme during fermentation, it actually makes the beer nice and clear. I mean, this guy is super clear. And it also reduces a lot of the gluten in the beer. It actually tests below the threshold to be labeled as gluten-free. So yeah, this beer also has sort of a sweet, crisp, lightly malted flavor. A lot less hop aroma on this guy. I'm guessing there's not quite as much bitterness in this beer. But it's very smooth. It has just a hint of a little bit of a fruity aftertaste to it, and it does finish pretty clean. Again, you know, I recommend, you know, going out for a long run and finishing off with one of these guys. And it would also pair, you know, pretty well with some pizza and burgers, you know, traditional kind of light, you know, beer style foods. So the Epic, this guy is a little bit bigger. I think it checks in at about 5.1% ABV. So, you know, since it is a 16-ounce can and a little stronger, maybe don't have too many of these after you finish your workout, or you'll completely counteract all the good stuff you did. So yeah, those are our 2 beers for Two Brew Tuesday. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me sweat on camera here today. And until next Tuesday, everybody, cheers.